Hey YouTube, Mark Coffman here, and today I have just a few updates. So the first one is going to be, well, I am loving the Inkosi, and I can even middle finger flick it. That is how balanced this knife is from the factory. This one, I mean, it's you have to shake it closed, but I'm able to middle finger flick it. I can't even do that with my Sebenza. So I am just in love with this thing. This thing is fantastic, and one of the things that I really like about it is look how great that swedge is. That thing is super sharp. I've been able to pierce into all sorts of things that I thought I wouldn't be able to with this, including very heavy classic vinyl packing. So for me, this thing is really nice, and one of the great things about it is it's going to be very robust. Got a lot of thickness there. So for me, that is one thing that I've been really enjoying, and man, this thing is just crazy. I'm really glad I went with the not the Inkosi, but the Insingo blade, because it's just got a different blade shape to it. It's very usable. So there is that, and then also, I was sent this knife. This is from Vostede, I believe it is. Yeah, Vostede Blade Works. And this is their Nightshade. They sent me this, and I've been seeing a lot of people review this one. So I asked if they could send me the black. I'm not really too crazy about the gray, but so far I'm really, really enjoying it. And I can see where people really have grown to love this blade shape. This thing has a lot of great things about it. Having that nice drop cut, drop pointed blade. I mean, this thing's really crazy, but for some reason this works. Now, it is actually based upon a very old blade shape design that was very interesting, and I'll go into that more with the review, but I thought you guys would enjoy seeing it right now. It is very well tuned. Everything is very well cut. Locker interface is very well done. The jimping here reminds me of a Civivi a little bit, and I can push button it, and I can light switch it, no problem. And the action is on ball bearings, so I mean, obviously that's going to be very, very nice, but I thought you guys would enjoy seeing that. So next update, I don't hate this knife, but boy, Hinderer did something really wrong with it. So I updated my XM18 with brown natural micarta scales. I think it goes really well with the bronzed titanium and the stone washed blade, but you'll see that there's a lot of wear on this side. And that's actually because when I got this knife, it came with ball bearings. I like washers, so I replaced the ball bearings with washers, and it's kind of breaking in again since I reassembled it. But I think I put too much Loctite, but that shouldn't even matter, because once you, and this isn't actually me overdriving this. This is me using the proper size screw, and it still expanded it. It's like my screw head expanded too much, which I used a Weehaw screw head, but it almost expanded the top because the screw kind of goes straight and then expands up into it, and then it goes into the handle. So I think this is just because this is just a really deep screw, and it might be my fault, but you can see that that's kind of been bent out of shape. It's not that it's lost any grip, it's just bent out of shape a little bit. But where most of the issues lie is on the back. Now, I've actually put these in my lathe. Each individual one I have resanded and tried to refinish just a little bit. But I ended up having to take pliers and hold one side. Well, it was like perched like this. Hold one side closed and then unscrew one side. So like I held it like that with one side, the plier head holding that side so I could unscrew this side. And if I had known that was going to happen, I wouldn't have put almost any Loctite in this. Now, I put a little bit less than I originally put in there because I really don't intend on taking this thing apart ever. Really, I just don't take my knives apart. The most I do is spray some water in there and maybe throw some oil in the pivot, and that's as far as I go. So for me, I don't expect to take that apart anytime soon, and if anything goes wrong with the knife, I expect Hinderer to be able to take care of it, especially if he has problems doing that. And if he does, then he needs to change the design. Honestly, what I would prefer is if they had like a flat head on this end, and then they kept the T8, so you can have a flathead screwdriver here, and then you can, you know, kind of Chicago screw head it kind of deal, but instead of another, you know, T8 screwdriver going in this way, it would be a flathead, so you still have the stability of this standoff and these long pillars here. So you still have the stability, but you just have something to anchor this side with while you loosen or tighten that. So really, that's a huge problem. I don't see it as being a problem since, I mean, I don't expect to take this apart. I don't expect anything to go wrong on it. And if it starts to loosen up or anything like that, I'm just going to send it to Rick. But I do feel like, you know, it's at a little bit premature wear. I am going to use this knife. I mean, this thing is not going to be babied. It's just going to be used, and it's going to end up a lot like my Sebenza and a lot like my Kershaw Blur. It's just going to look worn out. So I think my Carta scale, I picked it up pre-owned on eBay. Somebody was selling it for $50, and I was like, $50 versus 100, that's a deal. So pick that up. I'm going to throw some mineral oil on it, and it should kind of match up with this dark bronze. I was going to get the dark green, but this doesn't really look green to me in my eyes. Like here on camera, it kind of has hints of green coming out of it, but it's more dark brown than anything else. So really, that is a problem with these, but apparently, you know, Hinderer collectors are able to kind of look over that, or able to figure out how to do that without those screws. So if you have a Hinderer XM18 and you're able to do that with excessive Loctite, then show me what you do, or tell me what you do to get those anchored, because I couldn't for the life of me. I did tape. I did really strong adhesives to anchor these in place so they would stay in put, and nothing worked. I also heated up the screws almost 10 minutes, 5 minutes each, to loosen up the Loctite, and it still didn't do anything. I heated up with a soldering iron as well, didn't do anything. So if you guys have any tips or tricks, then let me know. But this right now is almost back to where I like it. I tightened it up just a little bit so it can break in once again, but I do still love this knife. The other thing I have done to it already is I've sharpened it. I brought the angle back just a little bit. And it's interesting to sharpen one of these, because this angle here is just fine, but then this one here gets really wide by the point. And I'm not sure if that's supposed to happen, but what it does do is it gives a nice steep angle here, so you have a thin point to pierce and cut, and then you have a nice strong edge here for your real strong push cuts, which I actually see that as a use, or a usefulness and a benefit, because you're going to be putting a lot of push cut angles here, but you might want to have a finer point here for piercing and for finer cutting tasks if you're trying to make a precise starting cut. So I think that's a benefit, but there are just a few downfalls with the knife. Now, is really that going to kill the overall review for me on this knife? No, not really. The S45 VN has been acting just like the S45 VN on my Inkosi and on my Sebenza. So for me, it feels the same on the stone. It feels almost the same in use. I mean, I'm dealing with a thicker grind here versus this or on my Sebenza, but I do feel like there's a few things that will be going into my final review, and it's not going to end this knife being in my collection, but it will be in the review. So thought you guys would enjoy some of these updates. And then the very last update is I have a few Victorinox knives coming in. So I have a few coming in. I snagged a few on a really good deal, and I hope you guys enjoy seeing those in the future. So till the next one, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.